Stribling News, September the 1st, 1938. Mr. and Mrs. John Pegram and children of Nashville spent the weekend with Mr. and Mrs. F.A. Ewer. Mr. and Mrs. B.F. Hilmes and little son John Allen left Monday for Detroit, Michigan, where they will make their home. Miss Monis returned to Paducah yesterday, where she will continue her schoolwork at Drones Business College. Irvin Hopkins spent last week in Nashville visiting relatives. Mrs. Albert Boswell, who has been ill for several days, is no better. Mrs. Denny Spurgeon, who has been sick for some time with malaria fever, is some better. Mr. and Mrs. F.A. Ewer and daughter Virginia and Mrs. George Gray were in Erin Saturday. Several from this place attended the camp meeting at Standing Rock Sunday. Reverend Bredholt brought a wonderful message Sunday afternoon on the second coming of Christ. Mrs. D.N. Mobley of Mobley spent Sunday with her mother, Mrs. John Dortch. Miss Ruth Spurgeon spent the weekend with Miss Gladys Cathy of Danville. Mrs. Bill Kibble of Erin is spending a few days with her sister, Mrs. Albert Boswell. In this September the 1st, 1938 article on Stribling, I'm going to feature Albert Boswell. Albert Boswell was born Stewart County, Stribling, the town of Stribling in District 11, September the 10th, 1894. His parents were George Boswell of Stribling, Tennessee, and his mother's maiden name was Callie Cathy of Danville, Tennessee. In the 1900 Stewart County Census District 11, which would have been the Stribling District, George, or Albert, was 5 years old. He's born in Tennessee. His stepfather was George W. Walford, aged 35, and born in Tennessee. His occupation was listed as farmer. And his Albert's mother was Callie M. Walford, 30 years old, born in Tennessee. She had been married for George for 4 years. This is Albert's World War I draft registration information. Albert O. Boswell, age 22. He lived in Stribling, Stewart County, Tennessee. His occupation was farming. His size was medium of slender build. No disabilities. He was single, and it was signed June the 5th, 1917. This is Albert's marriage certificate. October the 8th, 1917. Marriage of Albert O. Boswell to Christina Lane. This is a 1930 District 11, Stewart County, Tennessee census. This would have been the Stribling area. Albert Boswell, it's highlighted here in the yellow. 35 years of age. The age at first marriage was 23. His occupation was muscling, and his industry is shell digging. He was working yesterday. He is not a veteran. Christine, his wife, is 29. She was 17 at her first marriage, and her occupation is housewife. They have a daughter, Katie. who is 10 years old. She's attending school. She can read and write. And another daughter, Noma May, 5 years, 9 months old. She's attending school. 1940, Stewart County, District 11, Stribling area census. Albert Boswell was listed as 46 years old. Occupation was farmer laborer, and he was listed as a farmer. His wife, Christina, was 39 years old. Naomi, his daughter, was 15. She was no longer in school, and her highest grade that she had achieved was the 8th grade. Son George, he was 7, and he was attending school in the 1st grade. Also a son, Albert, who was 4 years old and wasn't yet old enough to attend school. Living with the family was Griff Lane, age 65, father-in-law to Albert. He was born in Tennessee, and he was listed as unable to work. For the creation of Kentucky Lake, the federal government, through TVA, Tennessee Valley Authority, bought out all of the low-lying land that would be taken up by the lake. When this was done, Stribling was to be no more. So many of the people who lived in Stribling, not just because they lost their houses, but because when the TVA bought the LaGrange Plantation lands, it also bought the employment of the individuals who did the farming for the LaGrange Plantation. So Albert was probably like most of the other working men in Stribling. He had to move. So it looks like he moved to Chicago, Cook County, Illinois, because this is his World War II draft registration. Albert O. Boswell, 6340 and a half South Parnell Avenue, Cook County, Illinois. Had no telephone. He was 47 years old, and he was born in Stewart County, Tennessee. The name of the person who will always know your address was Christina Boswell, his wife. This is looking out across where much of Stribling used to be. Now the roads and houses, schools, churches, and all are a lot of them underwater here. This is in the Leatherwood Bay area of Stewart County. You can think of the stories, the marriages, the births, the deaths of people in this area since early 1800s. The furnace industry started somewhere around the 1840s. Then the LaGrange Plantation took it over somewhere around the 1880s. Then it turned into, when the iron ore furnaces moved out, iron industry moved away, it became a farming community. And then the TVA bought it to form Kentucky Lake, and then Stribling was no more. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you would comment and like. Thank you.